Pavel Mintyukov's looking pretty good lately, isn't he? We'll talk about him and more on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, or TLOPN. I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, let's get right into it. I've been covering hockey for over a decade. I'm part of Defend the Nest and also the PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, among other things. All right, so I do have a couple of topics in mind that I do want to get to. This will be kind of a shorter episode by comparison to some of the more recent episodes. But let's begin with talking about Pavel Mintyukov, or Minty as some people like to call him. I like to call him Minty because it's a cool little nickname. So Mintyukov lately has been starting to tear it up in the league. I should point out that he did get the game time goal in the last game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I should also point out that Pavel Mintyukov has looked better skating. I will also point out he's getting more minutes. Yay! I love seeing 3 consecutive games where Pavel Mintyukov is getting 20 plus minutes per game, something that I've been hoping to see from the Ducks more recently. And I think part of that is now that the Ducks are out of the playoff race, we're starting to see it somewhat, like some games more than others, where we're seeing Coach Greg Cronin allowing the young guys to just go out there and show their stuff, which, I mean, I wish we had gotten this a little bit sooner. Part of this has been injuries. Part of this has been personnel just not playing together a whole lot this season. So I will say injuries have had a part with why the Ducks are where they are. But back to Mintyukov, his skating ability in general has been among the best in the team. He is one of the better skaters on the Ducks, I will say that. And his defensive game, he still has some mistakes here and there. I will say that. There are still some growing pains. There's still some rookie mistakes. But generally, he is skating better lately. He's got points in, I want to say 3 of his last 4 games, because he got the goal against Tampa Bay. He did get an apple against the Blackhawks. And he did score against the St. Louis Blues. So, yeah, that'd be 3 of the last 4 games where Pavel Mintyukov has done well. The lone exception being that shutout to the Minnesota Wild the other day. Yeah, that was the exception. But over the last 4 games, there's something in particular I've noticed about Pavel Mintyukov. He is starting to skate much better off the puck, and finding himself with better shot opportunities and finding himself with just better chances in general. I mean, the shot attempts have gone up for Mintyukov the last few games. Game against Tampa Bay, he had a season high 5 shots. When I was watching the game, I was going, Mintyukov's playing a little more aggressive. He's starting to drive towards the net. He's starting to generate offense. Where has this been? I think part of it is he's starting to, come out of his shell a little bit. And watching the game and afterwards, I thought, oh, he's got a few shots. Then I checked the box score. Oh, he's got 5. Oh, that's got to be the season high for him. And it, in fact, has. In the last 4 games, Pavel Mintyukov has got 11 shots. So he's starting to pick it up as far as offensive opportunities, as far as looking to get points. So that's a very encouraging sign. And I've been very high on Mintyukov for a while. I did get one message after the mailbag saying like, I know, you were wrong. You know who you are. There's one person in particular out there who insisted that Pavel Mintyukov was not the player to be. You know who you are. Shame on you. I look for him, especially these next couple of games, to possibly up his scoring chances. I would like to see it. Seattle's going to come in very injured. Well, not very injured, but the Kraken are on a bad losing streak as well, and they're going to have some reinforcements that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Yeah, this is the best chance for the Ducks to really just show their stuff, and especially for Mintyukov, who so far this season, only 4 goals, but pretty good for a defenseman, pretty good for a rookie defenseman, by the way. And he's already looking pretty solid on defense. I like watching him play. 28 points so far this season. So he's picking up the apples pretty well. Still amongst the top rookie defensemen this season. Yeah, the future looks bright for Pavel Mintyukov. And again, with new guys coming in for the Seattle Kraken, I'm going to bet, well, maybe not bet, but I'm going to make a prediction that Pavel Mintyukov, I think, is going to score 2 points in these next couple of games against the Seattle Kraken. It seems primed for that opportunity. And who he's played with this week, there's been a little bit of mixing and matching. I know Greg Cronin likes to mix up his lines a little bit, some way better than others. But seeing Mintyukov, on special teams, especially, that I was going to get to right now. The special teams for Mintyukov lately has been very effective. I've noticed that when there are certain guys out there on the power play, when Cam Fowler's out there with some of the vets, the power play tends to slow down a little bit. You get one shot attempt in maybe a minute and a half. Then you get that second unit out there. And I've seen Leo out there. I've seen Mintyukov out there once in a while. And that works. That completely works. I love seeing Mintyukov out there on special teams. When the young guys are out on the power play, they get more shot opportunities. They get more shot attempts per 60, if you want to just go that far. But per minute, they're getting more shot attempts and more dynamic shot attempts. And on the occasion when Minty is out there on the power play, the Ducks look good. They look fluid. Yes. When was the last time you said that about a Ducks power play? In fact, when was the last time you said that about any Ducks special teams, especially lately? You hardly see that. You hardly say that. I mean, who else are you going to put on defense in the power play? Well, I mean, I know who else. Olin Zellweger. Zellweger also looking very good out there on special teams. But lately, I've liked Mintyukov just a little bit better, sort of. I'm just saying, give him a chance. Give him a chance out there in the special teams. All right, we're going to head into the first intermission, and we'll talk about the last couple of games that the Ducks have played against the Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stay locked in. Now a brief word from Sleeper. And folks, we're nearing the end of the season. And you know what? Regardless of where the Ducks are in the standings, I got to remind you, you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. It's our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, where you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And you also have daily fantasy MLB. You have college sports. You can connect with other fans and get your entries in under a minute. And you can pick whether guys like Ovechkin or McDavid, or you know what? You could probably pick on guys like Mintyukov if they'll record more or less than their sleeper projections. Take the over, guys. To win $100 or 100 times bet on Sleeper, correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Ducks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, locked in with Jason JD Hernandez. Let's talk about the last couple of games. First, let's talk about the game against the Chicago Blackhawks. This was a fun one for Ducks fans, at least. This was an easy win for the Ducks. Chicago playing like they want that first pick again. Do we really want the Ducks to allow the Blackhawks to get another top pick again? I mean, I don't want to see the Blackhawks get any more picks than they have to. But you know what? It is what it is. So yeah, Blackhawks. But it was a fun game. Alex Killorn looking pretty solid in that game. My takeaway from that game was just Chicago had nothing for a while there. My biggest takeaway was Lukas Dostal keeping the bakery shut. That's his first NHL shutout. He's got plenty of shutouts in the American Hockey League, and he's gotten plenty of one-goal games in the National Hockey League, but never a shutout. So, first career shutout for Lukas Dostal. Congratulations. And 29 saves. Pretty freaking good. Alex Killorn, also pretty freaking good. I'm going to give my props to Brett Leason on this one because Leason got a couple of points there, a goal and an assist on an Alex Killorn goal, the third one. Leason, I think, needs to play more minutes. He needs to play some top minutes, folks. Ever since certain guys have been out of the lineup, Brett Leason, I don't know if you've noticed, has moved higher and higher and higher in the lineup, as high as a second line in this lineup. And at times, we saw him on a top line mix and match, but Leason deserves some more minutes. And he's been one of the few skaters where I've said out loud, they need to bring him back. They need to bring Brett Leason back. That's what I've been saying. And of course, Frankie getting his 30th goal of the season. So Frank Vatrano reaches the 30-goal plateau. Can he get to 35? Maybe. Can he get to 40? I don't know about that. But 30 is still a very good total for Frank Vatrano in the 4-0 win against the Chicago Blackhawks. It was just one team was better than the other, and that team was the Ducks. The Blackhawks are terrible. They're awful. They deserve to be bottom of the standings. I'll leave it at that. Then there was the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That one, that one was frustrating in a multitude of levels. What I liked about that game against Tampa Bay was they skated pretty damn hard on this one. This was another one of those tough games for the Ducks. You had Lukas Dostal making his second straight start because Gibby was out sick. So Alex Stalock was the backup. He wasn't going to go in, folks. Stalock was not going to go in. Let's be real here. But still, this was frustrating because the Ducks had their chances. There was one instance where the Ducks had a 2-man advantage. Yeah, they were the ones that were drawing penalties. Tampa Bay was the one committing, and there was some stupid penalties from the Tampa Bay Lightning in this one. And they are lucky that they didn't get burned because that's the Ducks special teams in a nutshell this season, where they get those opportunities. They had a whole minute of 5-on-3 after a Hagel penalty and a Tyler Mott penalty, and they couldn't do anything about it. They did nothing. Yeah, it's like the skies parting, as you could see. That was tough. To not score with a full minute of 5-on-3. Are you joking me? Are you actually kidding me? No. That's pretty much what their season's been like. But at least we got a Mintyukov goal after that, so that was fun. Yeah, Minty. But the 5-on-3, that's what killed me. I think what made it even worse was there was hardly any movement on that power play, on that 5-on-3 in particular. On the 5-on-3, that's where I would have liked to have seen all the young guys out there, all 5 of them, just let the kids play. But no, we saw the same old underlined unit for a bit. The young guys did eventually come out, but they got less playing time. Yeah, it's frustrating. That I put a little bit on Greg Cronin. That I put a lot on Newell Brown. They've got to fix their power play. And these last few games, just see what the kids can do. See what McTavish can do. See what Minty can do. Put two defensemen out there. Put Mintyukov and Olin Zellweger out there. Why the heck not? Throw crap on the ice and see what sticks. I bet it would work better than what they have with the vets on there. No offense to guys like Cam Fowler and Alex Killorn, et cetera, and Jakob Silfverberg on the power play, by the way. Have you noticed that? Sylphie's getting a lot more power play time lately. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, put Leo out there. Put Leeson out there. Put McTavish out there. Put Minty out there. Put Olin out there. Put all five of those guys out there and just see what happens. Just once or twice, maybe. And then, of course, Mason McTavish, after I say that, he had a terrible turnover in overtime. Just awful. Where there was kind of a semi-breakaway, kind of a 3-on-2, and McTavish was trying to pass it back to Cam Fowler. Now, I saw some tweets saying McTavish should not be making that pass. I saw some saying that he should get demoted. I saw others saying that's not on McTavish, that's on Cam Fowler. I'm going to say it's a little bit from all the columns. Should Mason have made that pass? Probably not the best place to make that pass. Should a Ducks defenseman have been hanging back for that pass? Also, yes, because where Cam Fowler was at the time, there wasn't a good lane for him to receive a pass. So maybe someone should have stayed behind McTavish for that drop pass. Just saying. At the same time, you got a 2-on-0 going the other way. And of course, Tampa's going to score on that 2-on-0 to win it in overtime. And of course, Chiarelli's going to score the game-winning goal because of freaking course that's going to happen. When you got a 2-on-0 and you have Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, Lukáš Dostal is going to get just faked out, and that's what happens. That loss is not on Lukáš Dostal. That loss is on the rest of the team. It's frustrating. What's the most frustrating is this has been the Ducks all season long, where even when they have their good games, they still somehow find a spectacular way to lose. Am I wording that correctly? A spectacular loss? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like the kind of play where you said, yeah, that's so Ducks. That's what it was. And they played a good game. They played a solid game. The Ducks deserved that win, and they didn't get it because of some bad plays. Let's head to the second intermission right now. We're going to talk about this upcoming 2-game set against the Kraken. And what's this? What's this? Do we get some reinforcements back? Ooh. We'll get to that on the other side. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with Jason JD Hernandez. Let's talk about players, or one player in particular coming back, that even though I said, should they bring him back? I thought about what I said, and I thought, no, we do want him back. Well, guess what? Trevor Zegras is on the third line tonight, and this just came out. I just posted this from Ali Lozoff. Per Coach Greg Cronin, third line tonight is Isaac Lundestrom, Trevor Zegras, and Brett Leeson. Ooh, that's interesting, folks. Lundestrom and Zegras and Leeson. I think most interesting is Zegras and Leeson on the same line. Leeson is a hard skater. Leeson will get to those areas. Maybe he'll get to the dirty areas and get a rebound. Zegras, obviously a dynamic playmaker. I don't know if Z is going to look for a shot right away, but look for Z to get his passing on, especially with Brett Leeson trying to get into those areas. So this has the makings of an interesting couple of games, especially if you stick those two together. So I'm intrigued. That's the word I'm going to use for these games. I'm intrigued by this line. And of course, you're going to have your top six. You're going to have McTavish. You're going to have Carlson. You're going to have Killorn. You're going to have Strome. You're going to have Vetrano. So the top six, I think, is mostly going to get left alone. You're going to have Terry, of course. Yeah, Terry should be up there. Leo should be up there. I mean, ideally, I would love to see Leo and Terry top line with whoever and then just go from there. But these lines, I'm thinking the Ducks could get a few goals here, especially with certain Seattle players getting the boot. So I'm going to talk about Seattle for a hot minute. And I know about Seattle because I work for their minor league affiliate, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, who are on their own little 13-game point streak, by the way. So some of these Firebirds players have been tearing it up lately, and two of them are getting called up for this one. Coach Dave Haxtell is trying to send a bit of a message to his team that if you are not performing, then this is going to happen. So Seattle has called up a couple of their younger players, Ryan Winterton and Logan Morrison. They are both getting called up to the Seattle Kraken. They are both in the lineup for tonight's game against the Anaheim Ducks. The lineup for the Kraken. Now, Vince Dunn still out. He's been on the red no contact. Riker Evans is out. Scratches. Belmar, Tatar, and Yamamoto. Ooh, that's sending a message to Tatar and Belmar. So that bottom line, all former Firebirds, Ty Cartier, Logan Morrison, and Ryan Winterton. For Lomo, it'll be his NHL debut. So he will get the rookie lap at Climate Pledge Arena tonight. As for the Ducks, I mean, this is all kinds of weird matchups on both sides. It really is. So what I would like to see from the Ducks, maybe take advantage of that young fourth line that's going to be out there for maybe 12, 14 minutes. But let's see if the Ducks can take advantage of just the new lines and see if they can generate some very heavy offense and generate some big opportunities. It is going to be tough, however, because they are facing Joey Decord, who is probably the better of the two goalies as far as Seattle's concerned. But Joey Decord has had a rough go at it lately. Some of that is not on him. A lot of that's on his teammates. I think Joey Decord might want to borrow the taser from John Gibson here. So it'll be an interesting matchup. As far as the Ducks are concerned, I mentioned those top three lines for the Ducks, the top nine. That's a pretty solid top nine. As far as depth is concerned, that's not a bad top nine, folks. I mean, I would love to see Lundestrom, Zegras, and Leeson on the third line for at least the next 2 to 3 games. Get Z back on his feet, get him back to playing. I also wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if we see Leeson and Zegras more so maybe, but one of those two guys move up to the second line by middle of the second period or the third period, because Greg Cronin likes to mix up his lines lately. Now that the Ducks are mathematically eliminated, he's been tending to mix things up a little bit more. So we'll see what happens on these couple of games. So upcoming schedule for the Ducks, a pair of games against the Seattle Kraken tonight and then Thursday night, both against the Kraken. So it's going to be really interesting to see what adjustments both teams make after this game. Then the Ducks go into Canada to take on the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks Saturday and Sunday. Then they finish that road trip next Tuesday against the Calgary Flames. Oh boy, that's a tough Canadian road trip. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, we're going to wrap up there. We will be back early Wednesday talking about the Kraken game. And then the tentative plan is to do a squad cast. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, ad-free on Amazon. We're also on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button right now. You can follow me on Twitter at StimpyJD. There we go. The show's Twitter is at LO_Ducks. You could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And also, thanks for all the questions from the previous mailbag episode. Really appreciate it, you guys. And once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason JD Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the game against the Kraken. Please remember to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Ducks fly together. Quack, quack, y'all.